This tutorial is about inserting pictures into a Word document and then formatting those pictures to make the best use of them. So this is a document about my garden. So I found a few photographs from in my my folder, ones that I've taken of my own garden. So what I'm going to do is decide where I want to put them and then insert them. So here we've actually got a bit of text about raspberry canes, so I'm going to put in a photo of raspberries. So I'm going to click my cursor roughly where I want it to be, and on the insert ribbon click pictures. Yours might be pictures from file, same principle. Mine are all in the downloads folder at the moment, so I'm going to choose raspberries and insert. First problem is it's much too big. So with the picture selected, and you can see it's selected by these handles here, on the Picture Tools Format ribbon at the top, I'm going to click onto the size box, the height, and I'm just going to guess. I'm going to guess I want it about 5 centimetres. When I press enter or return, it will change the width as well as the height at the same time. That's a much more manageable size. The other thing I want to do is there's a bit of background here. I'm going to zoom in so that I only have the picture of the bowl there rather than that grey background. Again, on the format ribbon, I'm going to click the crop button. That changes the handles into these black marks. Be careful because the resize handles are still there, so make sure your cursor is showing the black marks in order to change it. First of all, I'm going to use the down arrow, the down marker, reminds me of a roulette pusher, to drag down to get rid of most of this background. You'll notice that the bit I want to get rid of has gone grey. That's to allow you to then bring it out again if it's too much. I think that's fine. So I'm just going to click the crop button again, and that's now completed. I don't want it to be sitting there with a big gap around it. I've also got it in a funny place because it's in the middle of the sentence. So I'm going to click the wrap button here. You can also use the wrap button up on the format ribbon, wrap text. It does the same thing. If you hover over, you get a little tag to tell you what it is. Inline with text means that it's treated just like text, but unfortunately, unlike text, it's much too big. If I do it square, the text will wrap around it. If I do tight, it kind of does the same thing, but somehow makes a bigger space around it. Through is a very strange, I'll show you each of these actually. So square, at the moment the text is wrapping there, but if I drag it, I can have it within the middle of it, or to the side, up, and the text will just wrap around wherever the picture is. If I choose tight, the text goes a little more near, but it's not really very much different. Oops. Through, interestingly, doesn't do anything different. Top and bottom. If you've got quite a large picture, it can be quite nice to have it top and bottom. As you can see, I've got a whole paragraph above it and a whole paragraph below it. So if there's not much text or you've got a wide picture, instead of splitting sentences either side, it could be good to use the top and bottom wrapping. Behind text, be careful with this. Once you've put it behind, it's hard to click it again. It can be useful if you use a washout to make it a sort of background. So first of all, I'll show you washout. So on the format ribbon, under colour, you can choose washout. So under recolour, we've got washout. Then I can go behind text and it creates a sort of background shading. Use it very carefully though. Once it's behind text, it's quite difficult to find it again. So I'm going to undo and undo again, so I'm back to normal. The other one you can do is in front of text. So this is if you want to fit it into a space that you've created on the page, but without any of the text wrapping around. In a document, most often we're likely to use square and then fit it around. You can change the amount of space around, but that doesn't matter. So this picture is still a little bit big for what I want, so I'm going to come to the corner handle when I've got the two-headed arrow, hold down the left mouse button and drag diagonally inwards. If you try and go up or sideways, because it's got to go by both dimensions, it fights you back. So go diagonally inwards until you're happy with the size. Then I'm going to move that up so that it pretty much fits. Now, did you notice the heading there will move because I've gone too high up? So be careful about how you use this. I'm going to insert another picture. This time flower bed. Because this is a much bigger picture, I might actually want it to be top and bottom. So I'm going to make it a little bit smaller. It's a bit overwhelming at the moment. And then I think I want to put it top and bottom. Actually, you could just leave it in line with text. And let's have it centered. But where would I like to have it on the page? I'm going to zoom out now. In fact, I'm going to choose from the percentage at the bottom whole page so that I can actually see exactly where it is. I think I'll put this right at the very end. It's in the wrong place, so I'm going to go to cut on the home ribbon, scroll down to the end or use Control and End, press return and then paste. The picture is still too big, it won't fit below the text that I've got, so I'm going to resize it a little bit smaller, and I'll keep doing that until it pops onto the page above. There we go, and center it. So that's a nice way of finishing it off. As an extra little thing, if you go to the Picture Tools Format ribbon, you can also add a picture border. There are some preset borders here, so I could turn it into a round picture. Oop, that's odd. Oh, it's gone bigger. With a shadow. I think that's why it's popped onto another page, so let's get rid of that. Instead of that, let's make this or just like a picture. Because the border adds a bit more size to the picture, I'm going to have to resize it down a little bit more again for it to pop onto that page. You can also change the colour of the border, so I could go for a gold border onto my picture, or if I go to more colours, oops, I can choose either one from the standard grid, a bright pink one, or I can actually choose specifically to get exactly the shade that I'd like. It's good to have a play around with these. Picture effects, we can add a shadow onto it, you can have a reflection, a glow around it, a beveled edge, I'll show you what I mean by that, so that it actually looks a bit like a picture frame, a 3D picture frame, rather than just flat. So you can do a lot of things with pictures. One of the things you have to be careful of is how the text around it is behaving, and as you can see there, I've got a table split in half, so I might choose to move that onto one page, which means then I'd need to think about where my picture's going. I hope that's been of use. Thank you.